Hello, everyone, and once again, welcome to Collective Care and Togetherness. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this space that we're sharing tonight. We have a really nice program for you. We're first going to have a very special performance by one of the exhibiting artists, Marlou Fernanda, I Carry the Weight. So for that, I would ask you to turn off your phones and your devices so that the performance can happen as it should. And afterwards, we'll have a talk with the artists. So thank you again so much for being here at the V2 or at home. And welcome everyone. Marlou Fernanda, I Carry the Weight.
Alles alleen doen. Je moet 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 alles alleen doen. Ik 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 alles alleen doen. Ik moet 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 alles alleen doen. Alles alleen doen. Ik moet 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 alles alleen doen.
Thank you. Another round of applause, please, to Marlou Fernanda. I carry the weight. Yes. I think I speak on behalf of all of us when I thank Marlou for sharing this with us, sharing this incredible expression of something that clearly is coming out inside their body. So while we are setting up the chairs, and we will talk about Marlou's performance later, I would like to say that the topic of the exhibit, which is, about collective care, about togetherness, is something that now more than ever we really need to try and support and stimulate, because of course with COVID-19, with within individualistic capitalist society, I think it's important that we find these spaces in which we are able to celebrate our own differences and talk about what is also dear to us, which is artistic expression. So I would like now to introduce the exhibiting artists of On Collective Care and Togetherness that is being exhibited at Showroom Mama at the moment. So if you haven't been there, please check it out. I would like to welcome roze, meike. Please, let's keep the applause going when I say the names. Yes, roze, meike. Pris Roos. Yes, welcome. Kasper Tinus. Samra Mayanja. And last but definitely not least, Marlou Fernanda. Maybe I'll sit here. Maybe let's just give Marlou a few minutes to arrive. But maybe we can already start introducing ourselves. So there are 2 mics, I believe. Just feel free to grab them. Shall I start with you, Samra? Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah, hello. Can everyone hear? Yep. Hi. So short introduction of myself. Cool. Hi everyone. My name's Samra Mayanja. Pronouns she, her. I'm based in Leeds in the UK, and I'm an artist and writer. And that's all I'll say for now.
Pris?
My name is Pris Roos, pronoun she, her. I live in Rotterdam. Artist as well. I also work in the shop of my parents, the Toko. That's the inspiration for my art practice as well. And happy to be here tonight, actually.
Welcome. roze, meike.
Hi, my name is Meike Janssens, but most people know me as Meike or roze meike. I'm a visual artist and I'm still studying photography. I mostly make work about my queer experience and my blackness and black joy as well.
And last but not least, Kasper.
I'm Kasper. Also an artist based in Rotterdam, pronounced as him, his.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And how are you all feeling right now?
Now quite emotional after the performance of Marlou.
Yeah.
But excited to be here.
Anyone else wants to share?
Yeah, really thankful for being here, and also it definitely feels strange to be meeting and to be sharing work on something that's so relevant and poignant, but also very absent from the society that I live in. So I'm really interested to hear more about people's work and hear the questions from the audience.
roze, meike, how are you feeling?
I was feeling a bit nervous, and after this performance I feel a lot of emotions and feelings, but also excited to be here and in a space with people again, which is rare these days. So I really appreciate this and that it's being organized.
I have the same, actually. After the performance, quite emotional, but I think if I speak for myself, I'm also quite emotional about the work that I'm showing. And I had I was nervous for almost since July. So I think today I'm quite relaxed. So yeah, that's it.
Nice. I think we're going to try and wait for, yes, a round of applause for Marlou Fernanda. Welcome, Marlou. Welcome. We were just, first of all, I think on the behalf of everyone, thank you for sharing with us. It was really emotional. But before we get into it, I'm wondering if you could introduce yourself a little bit.
I'm Marlou Fernanda. I'm a visual artist. Working in many different visual ways. What more should I say? What should I say?
Nothing. If that's all you want to say, that's fine. Okay. So I had I had a plan of how the conversation was going to go, but after your performance, I think it's important that we unpack that. And maybe you could talk to us a little bit about what is I Carry the Weight, and what is your interpretation of it?
I Carry the Weight is something that's actually been going on for the past years, kind of. Actually, when I started with like creating, you know, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to do on your own. But at a certain point, it becomes heavy, you know? And like even the madness that comes with it is like heavy. It's a heavy burden, kind of. And I Carry the Weight is really like, in a simple way, a visualization of what it was for me and what it is for me and to me. And that's what I wanted to share in this time that I know we need each other and everything, but I just want to show you that I was alone, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to share this, with you guys.
Does anyone else, because before you came here, everyone was expressing how emotional they were feeling after your performance. Maybe someone wants to talk a little bit how they felt about it? One of the other artists?
I could relate to it a lot, like the feeling of this actual physical burden just above you. But I also felt so much urge to just run up and help you carry the weight and help you. And so a lot of relatability, but also the urge to intervene and help you.
Yeah, because it is something that actually I am doing myself also, because I am not asking anybody for help at the same time, you know? So I'm carrying this weight. It's like, in the beginning, it's not even that heavy. That's why it's just like a table, you know? But at a certain point, it becomes heavy because I've been carrying it for a long time. Yeah. So that's also, like what you said, I'm not even asking for help, but thank you, you know? But that's something that's kind of wrong with me, you know? I'm not asking for help, and that's also the problem. But I like that you just said that you wanted to intervene, and I like that. Yeah, sometimes a lot of people don't show that they need help. You know, they are crying for help at the same time, but they don't show it. They will never ask you, you know. Yeah. But
does anyone else relate to this with, you know, feeling isolated of the world? Maybe another Pris, maybe.
I think like now with the pandemic happening, I think a lot of people feel that isolation right now. So I think when I think about my own work, I visit people that are like elderly people, like around 60 years old, and they have that feeling of like being lonely and feeling that isolatie. You know, so and I, as an artist, or not only as an artist, as a person itself, just listened to those stories. So I think isolation, like being alone, everybody has it. So I think during the pandemic, everybody had that feeling in some kind of way. If it's like, even when you're like with your family or alone by yourself, I think everybody has that same feeling because we were all closed up in a space during the lockdown in some sort of way.
Yeah, actually, that's where I plan to start. COVID-19 has, you know, if we felt isolated before, after COVID-19, I think this feeling was even more pressing because of all the restrictions of movement and us seeing our own people and our friends and our families. So I wanted to ask you if COVID-19 has affected your creative process, because this was an ongoing conversation with, I think, all creatives that felt stunted because of the virus. So my question is, what was your creative process before, and how is it now? How has it been affected? Maybe Does Meike already has the
Yeah.
mic?
For me, for this project specifically, I was planning to go and visit a lot of different people and go into their homes and take pictures of them. But yeah, that couldn't really happen, so I had to dig into my archives, and when I was meeting up with people to take pictures, we had to do it outside, and because I don't greet people with a hug, there's a bit of a disconnect and like
Yeah.
more of a distance. So it's definitely, yeah, made this whole experience different. But yeah, I love being inside my own bubble and in my house, and especially with the collages, just looking at them and not having to be distracted by the outside world. It's
Yeah. And has it changed what you wanted to bring forward?
I do think it's different because I also wanted to make videos of the people, but because most of the pictures are old pictures, I didn't get to do that.
Yeah.
But the collages, I think, turned out quite the same as I
Yeah,
expected.
they're really lovely. I mean, at
Thank
least
you.
that's my opinion, that it looks really, really nice. Your work is absolutely lovely.
Thank you.
A lot of queer joy in
Yes.
it, black joy. And despite you having to change where you were going, your direction, your end product, do you still feel that your work is about collective togetherness?
In a way, because seeing all the pictures together for me was, I don't know, it brought me a lot of joy, and it made me feel like I was together with all those people because it's all people I know and am close to. So, yeah, in a way, it made me feel more together with them. So,
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Maybe Kasper, do you want to tell us a little bit about how your creative process was before COVID? How was it affected by COVID?
Well, normally in my work I reflect on my daily life, and that changed.
Yeah.
And it was a blessing and a curse at the same time, because normally I have to go to like social events, or I have the feeling that I have to go. But now I could take time for myself and paint and draw. So it was a blessing and a curse. There were months that I didn't make anything, and there were days that I was creating the whole day. And for this project, I asked myself, like, who are the people that helped me in this time? And that's why I make 2 paintings to honor them.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Thank you.
A lot of it's for me it was very sensorial seeing your work, because the contrast of the color and the line is you can see that there is a lot of love towards the people that you portrayed. And how about Pris? How did you feel that your creative process?
The creative
changed?
process was like normally I'm always producing. I'm almost always running like from one place to another, meeting up with people. I had to take a break into visiting people, like especially the elderly people that I visit in the Netherlands, so the immigrants. But then again, I was producing a lot of other stuff, and I think as an artist, you should just adapt to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So when I couldn't go to the studio, I just made an in-home studio. And I think you get closer to what your own insecurities are, what are your own thoughts about what happens when you're in a pandemic, what matters, so what's important. So I think it takes the best of you, and then you can produce, and from those thoughts you can make something new. So yeah, and I think I've been producing a lot. Yeah.
So you are really taking the best out of it, or at least trying to still remain active and give wings to your creative thought during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's quite important that, especially as artists, that we're like chameleons, so we can adapt to every situation. We can work at home, we can work in the street, we can be emotional about it, or we can just
don't think about it. I think every sort of emotional aspect that we have, whether we're angry, sad, or happy, we can put it in a work, and it can be crappy or not. So, but just take the process and make something of it, and yeah, that's it.
Lovely. And how was it for you, Samra?
So before the pandemic, I work at home anyway. So my studio is where I live. And because I like to dream my pictures or wake up to my sound or watch my video to live with my things.
Yeah.
I have like things that I collect also, and I like to see them and live with them. So that didn't really change, but what did change was that I was based in Brighton on a residency, working on a project that's entirely different to the project that I'm sharing here, the Scream. The project I was working on was more about trying to understand the relationship between bark cloth, which is a material made in Uganda by cutting the bark off the tree, and the connection to cotton, which in my mind, at a point in history was definitely a fabric that lots of black hands had touched.
Yeah.
So that project was put on hold, but one part of that project was speaking to different people about making, preserving materials. And one person that I spoke to just as the pandemic hit was an artist that said to me, there is something really important about one person's perspective.
Yeah.
And that one person's perspective we can get from a diary or a journal.
Yeah.
That's the kind of place where you know what one person thinks about the world. And I journal all the time anyway. So the thing that kind of changed was that I became more strict about the journaling.
Yeah.
That I want to read back, I want to be able to remember what it was that I thought in this time, because it feels like a blur, feels like it's one jump between March and now.
Totally,
right?
totally. I don't know how you felt about it, but for me, it was like March, June, suddenly.
November.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, what was I doing in May? And then I'm like, I was home, but then I was also home in March. Interesting.
Yeah.
It really screws up your conception of time, which is quite scary.
Yeah.
I think, at least I had never felt it like this before.
Yeah, so I think the journaling helped me keep track of things.
Oh, yeah. It's a good tip.
So I continued with that, and then when I got back home, because I had to leave the residency, obviously,
shame.
I was engaging in this project with a friend called the Black Cinema Project, and we're really interested in screening black films from around the world. And the first film that we screened online was called Sambasanga by Maldora. And this film I became obsessed with because of the scream in the film. Maria is a woman whose husband is taken by the Portuguese colonial forces during the Angolan liberation struggle. And her husband is Domingo Xavier.
Yeah.
And so it's a fictionalization of his actual life, right? But the thing that grabbed me about the film was every time she carries this baby on her back, and every time she gets to the police station to ask where he is, she screams. But it's not like, I'm scared. It's a scream of desperation, of grief, of loss, of hope, of testimony. And there was something that really grabbed me in that film. And, I organize in different spaces and have friends who are abolitionists, but I had never considered that perspective or that framework as one that I would ever take on. And that film, that scream in particular, is what started to open me up to the idea of abolitionist thinking. And in the context of a pandemic where people are feeling isolated and are feeling kind of trapped, it was really kind of, and also the murder of George Floyd, and also a kind of attention to the incarceration, particularly of black people.
Yes.
That's where the work kind of started to shift. And I wasn't thinking about this past work so much, and was mostly focused on this scream and recreating this sound. And I was doing this at home and imagining a choir of black people to create this scream.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of shifted. You know, I was working at home, but imagining being with a lot of people, screaming.
Yeah. Actually, if you have the chance to watch the movie, I believe it's on YouTube.
It is on YouTube.
It's a wake-up call towards the colonial horrors that the Portuguese Empire was inflicted in Angola. Actually, my mom is from Angola, and she is white, so she was part of the settler state that was in Angola. So if you have the chance, definitely check it out, because I don't think it's known by a lot of people. And you got heavily inspired about it for your work. So we can talk about that. I was gonna ask you, from the work that you exhibited at the Mama showroom, what is your favorite? So if you have a personal favorite of yours or a special connection or affinity to one of the works, so we can also encourage those at home to visit the space if they can, of course, and are healthy. Maybe we can start with Marlou. Do you have any favorite works?
I don't. Well, it's not necessarily my favorite, but it is the one that stimulated the other works, and that is the white one in the room. No, it's called Nunu Came When I Was About to Give Up, and that's where the series is also called When I Was About to Give Up.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wrote that because I was really on the edge again of being like, you know what, never mind. But at the same time, I can say that, but I will never, I will not stop, because I always find at the moment that I want to stop, I find this little thing that keeps me going, So with this work, so I think it's the middle one of the three big paintings. But that was the one that stimulated the other works, and the other works just flowed from this painting. Yeah.
And when you were saying, I get to this point where then there's something that keeps me going.
Yeah.
Is your art also part of this? Do you also use? No, I don't want to say use your art. Do you also make your art as a way to cope with life?
Well, I think when I'm creating, I can get really frustrated about the process. So yes, of course, it's also expression of what's happening in my daily life and everything, but it's also the process is making me frustrating. The process is making me down, because you understand?
I have the same
Just
thing.
feel free to chime in. We need to warm up, because.
Yeah, it's because when you're creating, you have this, or me, I have this expectation that it's gonna be good, but perfectly good, and this this state of mind that it needs to be perfect and it needs to be what I want to say and blah 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 blah. That makes me so frustrated when it doesn't come out, the way I want it to. So I get really I can get down, I can get, I will throw in my pencils, put it in the, and then I'm just you know what, never mind. And then I will go upstairs, something like that. And just for 30 minutes, I will just sit there and be I can never do anything good. And then I just be really kind of also self-destructive in a way. And saying all these things to yourself, but then after this few minutes, I would just go back and be let's try again. And then I pick up my pencil, I try again, but I'm not expecting anything anymore the second time.
Yeah.
So I just go paint and blah, blah, and then something comes up, I'm yo, and then I'm fired up again, that's really how it goes. So, and then I'm painting, and then I'm yeah, and this is the story. So the thing is that I get frustrated, but at the same time, creating builds me up. So it breaks me down and it builds me up. And that's the thing I love and I hate about it. But I need it. It's I don't know, I need it. I need to create. It's something that I don't know how else to explain, but yeah, it's a love-hate relationship, but I think we all need it. We all have it. We all need
Kasper,
it.
you have the mic. You wanted to chime in?
Well, I definitely have the same thing with the process. Like, I hate it and I stop, and it makes me want to cry or walk away. But I also have the moments that I fell in love with my own work, and then I'm so excited I cannot stop, and I feel like I'm hungry, but I still want to paint. Like, I still go on. So I have the mood swings, definitely.
Yeah, because I mean, at least I think in my opinion that all your works are a crossroads between your soul, your identity, who you are, what you have inside, what you don't have inside. And I think it's almost impossible to produce the type of work that you five are producing without somehow reaching this point within yourself that is just frustration and pain, and they just want to let it go. This, maybe Pris or Meike, do you also have this experience? Oh.
For sure. Also with this project, especially like the fact that I had to dig into all my old photos and I couldn't just go out and make new stuff, and I don't know, I was so frustrated at so many points, and I kept trying and then just leaving it on my desk for like weeks at a time and not doing anything with it, and then feeling this huge pressure to still do it. And I also journal, and I think everyone should do it. It's so relaxing. But I felt like every time I would pick up my journal, like, no, you have to do this. You have to focus on this. You can't do anything else. And yeah, that mindset it doesn't help, because doing other stuff can also help the thing you have to focus on.
For sure.
Yeah, but I got through it. And in the end, I was less frustrated when it was done. I was so happy that I pushed through. So yeah, that's also a nice reminder to have for myself to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pris?
I think everybody has that feeling what you have, like Marlou, like that you have to. I think it's a beautiful process that you have to break down before you create something beautiful. Because, like, for my work, I think I started actually in 2019 with the research, and then I took a break in 2020, and then the last summer I started again, and it grabbed me because I had to like listen to that story again, and then I recorded it on a video, and then I had to like watch it over and over, like a sort of like schoolwork, you know, that you have to get everything in your head, because that's the way how I work actually, that I have to feel it before I can create something, and then in the process of creation, then I think I cried a lot during the last period, but maybe it's because of also COVID, so it makes you like persistent to make something good, especially because it's for something special, not only for yourself, but also for another. So I get that, yeah.
And since you have the mic, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Marlou. What out of your works is not necessarily your favorite, but the one that you feel most connected with?
I want to explain like two parts of my work. It's an installation, so I made a booklet, so a transcript of Avin Tran. That's a Vietnamese woman that I visited, and that's the inspiration of the installation that I made, and that's the wooden construction, the boat. And actually the boat is a reference not only to her story from boat refugees from Vietnam, but also a reference to my own background of actually my dad who took all those rice bags and makes something beautiful of it. So, and actually it's inspired by my dad, because I see it in the kitchen in the toko, and then I found it so beautiful that he like my dad is also an artist, you know, so in his way, you know, so, and he doesn't realize it, but he's a great artist. So actually I took his example of all the rice bags, and then I had that story of Avin Tran, that she fled Vietnam by boat, and then all the stories that she told me, that she fell in the water, that she saw people die, and that she took the journey from Vietnam to the Netherlands to get a better existence. That reminded me of my dad, of course, and of my own family who came from Indonesia to the Netherlands. So I think the rice bags is a beautiful reference, that I can give something from my own community and give it to another community that visits the exhibition. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Everybody should really check out the room, because it's a very interesting connection that you have with the boats and the rice, and then also reading the text while you are looking at the art, at the installation, and trying to understand, not only in your mind, but like also the sensorial feeling that you get from the installation. It's very powerful, and you know, the story of sacrifice and violence that a lot of people that migrate and immigrate, I think it was very, very meaningful. And maybe Samra, what is your favorite? Maybe not your favorite, but your most meaningful work that you have.
Right, okay. I misunderstood the question when you first asked it. I thought you meant of other people's work.
Oh, no. But if you also want to be like, I like that. Because I mean, with Pris, your installation, a project that's just been announced, I think today or yesterday in the UK, is by a zine-making collective called Daikon, queer, trans, intersex, East Asian people making a zine monthly. And around the time, I can't remember what time of year it was, that a group of, really sadly, a group of East Asian migrants on their way to the UK died. And they did a lot of work around trying to encourage artists, particularly queer and trans East Asian artists, to memorialize and to speak up and to try to make work so that people can engage with the topic. And so when I saw your work, I thought of this instantly. So when you asked that question, that's what I was thinking of. But yeah, it's a good opportunity to shout out Daikon and the work that they're doing, and they might be an interesting group for you to reach out to also. But yeah, I suppose, I mean, I just have the one piece of work, so maybe I can say my favorite part of the work is, I suppose, this refusal to like what you engage with in the gallery is a small part of a performance that we made, the choir made for ourselves. And I love this kind of resistance in that of giving everything, and giving everything like live. It's a very small segment, so you feel something in that time, and that's it. And that's my favorite thing I think about the work. And my favorite thing I think about, black music is like, it sounds live, it feels live when you listen to it in your headphones or your speaker, but actually you are separated from that sound, from that expression of pain or suffering by time, by space. But it doesn't stop you feeling it. Yeah.
It doesn't stop you being moved by it. It doesn't stop you wanting to engage with it. And that's something I really wanted to try. And that's my favorite thing I think about my work.
And tomorrow you have the workshop that is correct?
That's correct, yeah. So
do you want to tell us a little bit about it? What can people expect?
Yeah, for sure. So tomorrow is the first of 2 workshops entitled Bone Deep Deliverance. And bone deep, coming from this term used by African-American theorist Fred Moten around bone deep listening. The way I interpret that is we can make sound vocalizations that are of us, but also are older than us.
Yeah.
And then deliverance is linking back to what I spoke to earlier of like a sound that has the potential to move us, to take us somewhere that isn't here. It doesn't necessarily have to be abolition or some kind of radical political thought, but just to move us. If the sound gets you out of bed, if the sound encourages you to text your friend, whatever it is, it moves. So the workshop itself is a listening workshop, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow is just for Black people, and on Tuesday is for anyone else. And so tomorrow we will engage with the film, Sambasanga. We'll also read a small section of this text from Fred Moten, particularly this part that's from Frederick Douglass's autobiography.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last part is listening to Max Roach, a triptych prayer protest piece, a song. It's Abby Lincoln's vocals, jazz musician, her
Beautiful.
vocals on this. So we're just going to listen together and discuss and kind of share thoughts and ideas. None of my workshops, I'm never teaching anything.
Okay.
It's more the sense that like we have something to bring to the space.
A collaborative effort.
Exactly.
And it's not tomorrow, it's Sunday, right?
Yeah.
25th of October.
What's today? Friday.
Today is Friday. Yeah,
Correct.
I thought it was Saturday. It's my mistake. I'm not sure if the workshop is full or not. But if...
I think there's 2 spaces.
There are 2 spaces, so if you hurry up, go check out Mama Showroom on Instagram or Facebook and get hooked, because there's 2 spots, and on Sunday is only for Black people, and on Tuesday everybody can join.
Yeah, same workshop.
So check it out, 2 spots. Now I'm gonna go to Roze Meike and ask you about your more meaningful work, or the work that you are most fond of the expo.
Well, this is funny because I actually haven't seen the expo yet. I rushed here today, but I saw you setting up and we talked about your work a little bit. And while you were filling all the bags with rice, it looked so beautiful to me. And I took a little video because I was also telling you, like, this looks like a performance. This is amazing. Like, so yeah, your work is also very meaningful to me. And I think stories of immigrants are so important. And I think they should be highlighted way more, especially in
Now.
Rotterdam, which
Yes.
is like a city of immigrants. So yeah, for sure.
And Kasper,
Is it the question that...
out of your 2 works?
Okay. I think the brotherhood, because it's...
Is it the one with the family or with the...
No, the blue one.
The blue one,
I have
okay.
The pink one is the Modern Family,
Okay,
and the blue one is Brotherhood,
okay.
and that's to say thank you to my brothers, because I grew up with a lot of women, and
A matriarchy.
mostly women.
Nice.
So I learned how to communicate and to tell that I love you, and we never had that with... I never had it with my male friends.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it that we do say it in different ways. We show it and we don't say it out loud, but you can feel it. And I also didn't tell them that I made this work.
Oh,
I'm gonna
surprise!
I'm gonna show them, but it's something that I realized last year, that you can love someone and show them without saying it.
Yeah, they're both beautiful. I now want to steer the conversation a little bit towards self-care and acceptance, because when we were talking about your creative processes, we're talking about extreme, intense feelings that are also not easy to unpack and to process. So, of course, in a pandemic, we're trying to create, we're trying to stay alive, but we're also trying to take care of ourselves. And I want to ask you, what things have brought you joy during these times? That brought you happiness or comfort? Want to go first?
West African Guinness, specific Guinness, not the Irish one, the West
Is it the
African.
really like dark, muddy one?
Yeah.
Yum.
And then a Guinness cake, which you can also make from that. But then also, I think in relation to the work, was like, there was a moment in like improvising together that we started to make like very, it was kind of like happy trap music, I don't know.
Happy track.
Happy trap.
How would you describe that?
So,
Can you hum it
you
for
know, there
us?
was one person that was like, a very high kind of like this, and two of us were like ka 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 ka, and we did that for about 6 minutes, and by the end it just sort of went silent, and we all just laughed. You know, like we just looked at each other and we were like, that was so silly, why are we doing that? But it just, you know, it was in the body, it was in the movements. And I think the thing that's so interesting about like improvisation, at the start I was crying, and that after about 45 minutes, we had this kind of intense laughter that came out of nowhere. We didn't say anything. There was no, like, in this process of making the sound, we didn't talk for an hour. We just kept improvising. And so at this point when we laughed, it was both like a release, but also so joyous and so uplifting and so bodily, you know, like...
Is it normally singing movement a way that you use to nurture yourself?
Recently, singing has become a really strong part, because I noticed that like if I get nervous or angry or scared, that my throat closes up. Like now I feel a bit like my throat is closing. So I've been taking singing lessons in order to open up my throat, which, you know, started before the workshops for this piece and before bringing together the choir. And then I, you know, started to feel that singing brought me joy, that I can wake up and sing. And in singing that I'm not alone. That when the sound is made that I'm not by myself.
And the human voice, to me, is the most powerful instrument of all.
Yeah.
I mean, look how many sounds you can make with just like a few strings attached to your throat. It's incredible. Okay, that's gorgeous. Thank you for sharing. Prince, how have you found joy during this pandemic?
Like
or
food, cooking. Well, like I'm a daughter of immigrants. Like they have like their own shop at Toko, so I don't have to miss it. Like, but like at the beginning of the pandemic, I was locked down, so I couldn't go to the store or to my family. So that was.
Were you locked down on your own?
Yeah, I took like a self precaution, you know, to stay inside because I have like a chronic disease. So I was really like careful, and I was also a bit scared. And so my partner, we locked ourselves down for like, I think, a month or something.
Wow.
So, and then in the first weeks we didn't even go outside. So, so I couldn't go enjoy like Indonesian food, and that's like really like important to me, like all those smells and stuff. But then again, the opposite was that I took on like going outside, walking outside after the moment that I wasn't scared anymore. So I took up bicycling and running and just breathing outside. So that was nice, and I think also like during the pandemic I had to pressure myself to not produce a lot sometimes, because I can produce like every day and be like my mind is on the whole time.
So is your art also a way that you use to nurture yourself?
Yeah, especially because I'm quite like in the morning I do like yoga or I do running, so I have like this whole rhythm to start up, and then I go to the studio or just start a drawing or just begin with something to read. So it's a way of doing, of living. But then again, I can just chill out at home and just Netflix or play video games. So I have a lot of things for self-care. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Marlou?
I think for me the most joy I got was is always with my family, and especially this year on my birthday, it was a really good day.
What zodiac sign are you?
August.
Oh, you're Leo.
Hey. I am. But yeah, it was a really. It's funny because I normally don't give parties on my birthday, but this year I had a party. Kasper was there, and like people that are really like close to me were there, and yeah, it was. Unexpectedly the best birthday I ever had.
Nice.
And it was such a like, I don't know, it was so, everyone was dancing, bachata, salsa, everything, and it was really really fun. And yeah, I just had people around me that I know that really care about me, and if I do something big or not, you know, like these are the people that will always be there, you know, and that's important for me, like without just like real people and real love.
And are you gonna have a birthday party next year since you had a good experience this year?
Well, it was unexpected because people came, you know, like people that truly care about me. No, they came, you know, and so it was not that I invited them over or something like. Oh, did I? Kind of.
Maybe like a
but
sneaky,
not really like I'm having a party, you know, not like that.
It was last minute.
Yeah, it was last minute. Yeah, I was like, come by, you know. So.
Oh, I hear you were close to doing something else.
Yeah, we were supposed to do something else. Yeah.
But then you found something new. You like parties.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people are here also. My
Lovely.
Family. Yeah. So, but it was nice. And besides that, I also had like a stop from just creating also a little bit, just like stopping, slowing down, and not put so much pressure on myself and the thing I create and everything. To just, like you said, watch Netflix, you know, things like that. That's something, like watch series, that's something...
It's comforting.
Normally I don't do that. Like, I never did that before. And then with the lockdown, I was like, let's watch a series, you know, like, and then I was like hooked on this one series. And then I was watching it. Don't ask me because I don't know the name anymore. I don't know the name.
Tell us so we can binge watch it ourselves.
Yeah, I know I don't know the name anymore, but it was a good one, and it was just nice to not think about anything and just be like.
Yeah, I think that's also important, and sometimes because we live in this capitalist society that puts so much value in production and us being active and doing stuff and working and creating and working, we sometimes really neglect the art of doing nothing and just chilling with the Netflix and drinking a glass of wine and watching vines on YouTube. You know, it's also very nice, and it can be a way for you to nurture yourself as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And Meike, what has brought you joy lately?
Yeah, the main thing that brought me joy was finding out that I'm really good at being alone. Before the pandemic hit, I was constantly surrounded by people, like going to school, staying in school even though I didn't have to, just going places, meeting up with people, going to people's houses, inviting people to mine. Just every day I would see so many people, and then I spent the first few months alone in my house because my 3 roommates all went to their parents, and it was so nice. Like, I was just dancing every day and making so much art and cooking and listening to music with the volume way too loud.
It's not worrying about the roommates.
Yeah, and just also disconnecting from my phone a bit and unfollowing a bunch of people and like losing the feeling that I constantly have to be reachable.
I can totally relate to that. That you worry, what if people cannot get to me? What's going to happen?
And that also, I think it's very funny because the best day of this year so far was also my birthday, and I spent it for 24 hours with no internet, just alone in my room. So very different from yours, but that was the first time I didn't have internet for a whole day in like so long, because I really grew up with the internet. And it was so relaxing. I just finished my sketchbook, my journal, because I start it on my birthday every year. And I finished it, and I just smoked, and I ate, and I baked some cookies, and I did my hair. And all of that has just...
What zodiac sign are you?
I'm a Virgo.
You're a Virgo, okay, that makes
Yes.
sense. Yeah. I'm an Aquarius, and I also enjoy doing this for my birthday, being on my own.
Yeah, well, my last
Lovely.
3 birthdays I gave house parties
Fair
with
enough.
a bunch of people, and I'm never doing that again, because I was constantly
Lord.
worrying about, is everyone having fun? Is everyone
Yeah, the
okay?
pressure, yeah.
Do you want something to drink? No, it's my day. I'm gonna do self-care and see no
And bake
one.
cookies on my own. Yes.
Yes. So that brought me a lot of joy. Yeah. And also
Lovely.
working on this and researching Black joy and how important it is to focus on the positive things. It's really been so joyful.
Lovely. And Kasper, what has brought you joy lately?
Well, for the first time in the pandemic, I started to bicycle. I really hated it.
You don't bike? Wait.
Well, I hated it as a child.
Oh, wow.
But during the pandemic, I didn't have to do anything, and when you bike together, you still have the distance.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to bike, and we went to different cities. We also went to Belgium.
Oh, wow, on a bike.
But normally I hated biking. Yeah. So that's different.
I think it's the first time I hear a Dutch person say this. Because usually y'all are so into biking. I'm
Yeah,
always
true.
surprised. Like, are you
I'm Dutch.
really? Okay, but you found joy in biking.
Yeah,
Dope. And are you gonna bike after the pandemic? Is this gonna be something you're gonna incorporate in your daily
I'm not
life?
sure. But no, I'm not sure. But yeah.
Hey, don't judge. Like, I get this because I'm Portuguese. I didn't grow up with the concept of like biking everywhere. So I have this bike without brakes, and I'm terrified of it. Terrified. I don't know how to use it. Like, it's hard. So I get like biking. I'm gonna take the metro.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it if it starts to get normal again.
Yeah.
But for now, yeah, definitely. Last week I saw the Kinderdijk.
Yeah.
It's with the motor for the first time, so
It's really
I was
lovely.
excited.
It's a prime Dutch cultural
Windmills.
molen.
Yeah.
Little windmills. Lovely. Now, we talked a little bit about your art. We talked a little bit about our self-care routines, what we are doing, how we are doing. I want to talk a little bit before we go to the audience and ask them if they have a few questions for you all about the theme of the expo, which is collective togetherness. As a queer, feminist, anti-racist human, I've been blessed with being part of communities that have literally carried me through my darkest moments and that have also shared my greatest joys. So when, to me, when we talk about collective togetherness, it's really that rediscover of the power of community, of those around us, and the ability that those people have to help us, even when we are refusing that help or not seeing that help. So I wanted to ask you, what does it mean for you, collective togetherness? Because this is an increasingly individualistic society that we're in, where these values of me, myself, and I are part of our daily lives. How do you incorporate your community in your life? And if so, what do you take from it? Well, how do you contribute to it? Pris, gonna go first?
Yeah, sure. When I was thinking about collective togetherness, I was thinking about the primary needs that we have as human beings. And those are like food, health, clothing, house, water, you know. And because of the pandemic, it has shifted a lot. So a lot of people lost their jobs. they have less money to spend, or they don't even have money to spend. They can't go outside,
Yeah.
so. And actually it differs for every community, so and I'm not talking about community like I'm also queer and I'm Asian and like I also see the Toka as a community, but I'm talking in general that like the rich and the poor differ because of the pandemic, and
the divide became
the
more
divide became more
visible.
visible, like underneath a magnifying glass, that it shifts, so everybody has their own perspective of what it means. So that was like my first thought about collective togetherness. What does it mean? And those primary needs have shifted, and it also made it aware because of the Black Lives Matter protest that people see the differences now, and like the people who are in a lesser situation, who don't have a lot of money to spend, they see it now, and the rich people also see it. So, but what do we do with it actually? So
Yeah, I mean, I just recently there was the breakout of the news of Willem Alexander going to holiday in Greece, and how does one deal with that when one is looking for a job, when one has lost their job and cannot get unemployment benefits and is struggling to eat? How do you open your TV and you see one of the richest men in the Netherlands apologizing for taking a vacation because he was caught? I mean, these differences are even more visible now. And how was it for you, Marlou? What does collective togetherness mean to you?
I gave the mic because I was still thinking about it, to be honest.
Maybe someone else wants to go first? Give you some time?
Yeah.
This is a live panel, people. These things happen.
For me, the first thing in my mind when you talk about community is like my chosen family, the Cloud Collective. They are a group of organizers from Rotterdam, and you know them, you've worked with them, and
if you want to support them, Cloud on Instagram and Facebook, they have a great magazine in which your work is also there.
Yes.
It's really beautiful. Go check it out. It's €15, and it's honestly one of the best things you'll buy this year, for real.
Cloudmagazine.com.
Cloudmagazine.com.
Cloudcollective.com, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and the way like the magazine came because of the pandemic, because they have these amazing parties, like they are the
amazing.
Safest space I've ever been in. Like I can just be out in my titties shaking everything and just having so much fun and feeling safe, which I normally don't have in club experiences. And the way they shifted their goal to create safer spaces, and they're still doing it in a different form by having a magazine, which is very like, I made an altar at my home for the magazine. The way they shifted that and the way they are still doing this and doing the work, I appreciate them so much. And so that is the first thing in my mind when I think about togetherness and community organizing. Yeah, it's Cloud for sure.
Yeah, lovely. Kasper, what does collective togetherness means to you?
For me, it's one of the other paintings that I made, not the Brotherhood, but Modern Family. It's like the people that, even though I'm alone and I'm here and they're not here, but they're with me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I stop believing in myself, and I know they will do it for me, and they help me, and they help me realize that I should go on, and that I'm good enough.
Yeah. All those positive things that sometimes it's hard for yourself to say to yourself.
Yeah, you don't see it yourself, and then they come and they give me food and they take care of me. I think that's what I thought about when I saw the care and togetherness.
Yeah. Marlou, you wanna go?
I was first taking it on a large scale, like, you guys were talking about community, and I realized that I don't feel necessarily part of a community. So that's why I couldn't really answer the question. But then they were talking about making it smaller, the people, the chosen family, you know, the people that are there for you, to support you, you know. It can be like, you can count them on your fingers. I wanted to say it in Dutch.
And that's
but,
absolutely fine.
Yeah, and for me, I've really seen the strength in that. And so actually, like I said, those are the people that gave me the most joy. And I can be fine, you know, like if it's just this group of people, it's really enough for me. Like I don't need the whole community, you know, but maybe I shouldn't say I don't need it. I've never experienced it, so I don't know what I'm missing there. And I just got my group of people, and that's enough for me. And that feels good, you know, that I know who to point out, he or she is with me, you know, like it feels good to be able to say that and not depend on a large group of people, but then you don't know, you know. I just like the intimate small gatherings.
And I think it's also important we invite people to join our spaces. So when the pandemic is done, you're getting an invitation to Glau, and we're gonna go.
That would be amazing.
We're gonna party. Because I also really like. I think there's a lot of power in bringing your people and inviting someone else that doesn't know them. You know, not necessarily like bringing them in, but letting them know who your people are. At least I really enjoyed that exchange, that sort of intercommunal togetherness. You know, these are my people, and this is what we do together, and opening up, because also in these big communities you have the problem of gatekeeping, people that are sort of deciding who gets in and how and why, and I think there's a lot of power in smashing those gates and really like come with us and join us, and if it's not your thing, then we'll do something else. Samra, for you, what does it mean, collective togetherness?
I think it means, at the moment it means different things, right? So the other day I had my first tarot reading.
Ooh.
And
congratulations.
Right? And
what zodiac sign are you?
Capricorn, triple Capricorn.
Damn.
Yeah.
Really?
I knew that. I sensed it. You were like, I love producing. I was like, me too. And one of the things that they said to me was, Samra, your ancestors are running with you. And so in the context of collective togetherness, I think about that.
About your ancestors?
About the ancestors, and think about, even the ones whose names I don't know, or the ones whose names I do know, the ones who I have photos of, the ones who I have no memory of. I've been very intentional in the last year of like bringing them with me.
Yeah.
So it was cool to hear that. So that's like one thing. And then like another thing is I think of like community and togetherness as an experiment, because I completely hear like what Marlou's saying, that like, like these are the people I know that I trust, and sometimes it's like, well, who are they and what's going on over there, you know? And I think about it as sort of like an experiment, that like it's an experiment in honesty, you know? Sometimes that's hard to really be yourself and show yourself to a big group. It's an experiment in like social relations, like what do we need and can we say what we need? It's an experiment in like just being together in a society that says we have to be together in particular ways. So I try to bring people together for various things. It might be, okay, we're a group of artists in a pandemic. Some of us have money, some of us don't. Let's collectivize that money.
Yeah.
So that's one experiment that kind of came out of the pandemic. And that's togetherness. It's a very small group, but it's an experiment in it. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We don't know whether we'll be together in 6 months' time, but we're going to try.
And then how did it go?
I mean, it's going pretty well. Like,
Oh, it's still going on.
it's still going. We started in like March, April, and it's still going.
Wow.
Um,
Lovely.
so and then I think the final thing is like, with the work that I made, I put a call out to people, and I also find it difficult, again, similarly, to say, hey, I need help, or like, hey, people maybe come and rescue me, or like, you know, or be there for me, even. Simple things like, be there for me. And so this was a big moment of putting this call out into my circles, into my friendship groups, to say...
Vulnerability.
Yeah, exactly, to say, hey, I really need you because I want to scream.
Yeah.
I want to scream because I'm feeling something, and I know you guys must be feeling something too. Let's do this together. And actually, the togetherness was in putting that out there. I realized that was like, not just okay, let's try something like these experiments. It's like, let's be vulnerable together. Maybe we're gonna cry together. Maybe we're gonna feel shit together.
Yeah.
But we're gonna try.
We're gonna put these feelings out in the universe because they need to be.
They need to go
processed.
somewhere.
They need to go somewhere. And they cannot stay inside for so long.
Yeah, exactly. And I have no expectations of you. This doesn't have to go on forever, but let's try something.
But for now.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a combination of things, that the experiment, the asking, and the ancestors. At the moment, that's how I feel, right?
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you so much, all of you, for sharing today. It's been so wonderful to hear you talk about all these things that I think it's not just us that are wondering, how does self-care work? How do I nurture myself? How am I dealing in the pandemic? And I hope that those listening to this can find some common points with what was said today. And in that spirit, I would like to maybe see if there are some questions from the audience for the artists. Wait, I cannot. Maybe this side?
I have one.
Yeah?
It's like the entire conversation was on a very positive note, so I want to apologize and I hope no offense is taken. But I wonder what is the reasoning behind a workshop that is separated with blacks only and the rest in an exposition where it's collective togetherness. I wonder why there is a separation.
Okay, I will just say the question so that the people can listen to it. This person asked, in relation to Samra's workshop on Sunday, that is specifically only for Black people, what was the reasoning for that? Samra, do you want to answer?
Yeah, for sure. Around the time of that we started to understand that George Floyd had been murdered, and I think even before that, around the time of Ahmaud Arbery's murder, and then after George Floyd, we had Breonna Taylor and a slew of images circulating of particularly Black people being murdered, attacked, various forms of violence enacted onto the Black body, Black person. And many of my friends who are Black from all over the world had their friends, well-meaning friends, messaging them to ask if they're okay, to see how they're going, but also that the Black person in pain and suffering became incredibly visible, almost hyper-visible, to the point where I felt, and I think many other Black people felt, that we too were hyper-visible, and our pain was also hyper-visible. And with that came a lack of space to share those feelings, a lack of space to grieve, to mourn, to say, whoa, this is hard, a lack of space to say, okay, yes, this is an abstracted or very distant situation of violence, but I have that that's my family are experiencing state violence, or my family are incarcerated, or my family have experienced immigration controls, or, you know, anything of this sense. There was no space to hold those feelings.
Yeah.
And there was no space in which those feelings could be held unquestioned and without the eyes of, oh, I feel really bad for you, but I don't experience that. You know? There is some real transformative power when people just see you and say, that's shit, and I know that's shit because it's happened to me.
Yeah.
And so in the context of that, I felt that it was particularly important that we hold space only for Black people to just see it and just say, hey, you may live in the Netherlands and I live in the UK, but I see you and I see what's happening and I'm here for you. Let's talk about it without any kind of questioning
and
explanation or guilt or anything. But the reason why I held the second space for everyone, that space doesn't exclude Black people. Black people can come with their partners, with their relatives, with their chosen family who are non-Black and be seen and be held there. So there are two opportunities in two spaces. That's why I held two workshops, because I wanted to have multiple opportunities for us to see each other, but then also for us to come together. So there is still a sense of togetherness, but I'm also just giving the option for people who feel hyper-visible and feel that they don't want any kind of like questioning or guilt or moving the concentration away from that process of mourning and sharing. That's what that space is particularly for. So yeah.
Yeah, and
does that answer the question?
Okay. And I think it's important that we as a society in a whole become comfortable with spaces that are particularly for one group of people, because there is no universal human experience. And I think there is so much value in having a space that is centering Blackness for Black people, by Black people, that, like you said, there is no need to explain how am I feeling. And I think we as white people really need to become, no, not really need, you must become comfortable with it, because this is, you cannot expect the master's tools to dismantle the system of oppression that he built. So it's about creating your own space, your own table. And yeah, like you said, there is another workshop.
And can I just add as well, I think it actually encourages support and care.
Yeah.
Like the example of Daikon that I was saying, is the queer, trans, intersex zine made by East Asian people. And they are friends of mine, but I have no feeling that I need to be in that space. But when I see a really cool film, a Taiwanese film that's about trans parent and child, I'm going to send it to them, and I'm going to send them the password, and I'm going to encourage them to watch it. But I don't need to screen that film in that space, and I don't need to be there when they watch it. Do you know what I mean? We can still create a togetherness
without taking the space.
There we go.
Yeah. Any other questions from the audience? Yes.
First I want to ask my question. I'm sorry for my bad English.
Your English is fine.
I want to take first
Perfect.
something to Marlou. I'm here for her because I want to support her, my friend. I'm happy to see how you're growing up and to do your art and give a feeling what you experience also to the audience of all the people here. I feel that, and that's important because you see a woman here with a table and she talked only one
line, one sentence.
Yeah, and you have a lot of people, they think like, what the fuck are she doing now? But she gave me in the 2 minutes the feeling what you get, and that's important in art, I think. So congratulations, it's nice to see that.
Yes, a round of applause again for Marlou. Yes.
The question is for all of the artists here, did you have a moment that you was thinking like, I will stop with creating art, and what's the reason behind that?
So the question, the first part was about Marlou's performance, which no more words to add, like you said it all. And the question is directed to all the artists, asking, did you ever have a moment where you wanted to quit? Kasper, you have already the mic in your hands.
I had that last week, I think, or maybe 2 days, 3 days
Last
ago.
week.
Yeah.
Preach.
I was working on the paintings, but I didn't have enough space, and I was done. I'm not gonna do this anymore. This is my last project. I'm gonna quit, and I'm never gonna do this again. But
So what picked you up again?
when I finished it, and now I'm here.
Continue, right?
Yeah, I did continue. Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, no, it's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, and and it's definitely not my last work. So.
And has this ever happened before? This feeling like,
Oh,
okay, I'm done?
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Can I so? No, I'm asking a question actually. So you're painting, you're continuing, but your mind is at like oh, I'm quitting, but you continue creating. Just to sketch like how.
No,
it would look
when
like.
I think I'm gonna quit, I just have to step back, and then I have to start again. But when I feel like I have to quit, I can't work, because it will only get worse, and
Yeah.
the painting will get ugly, and it won't get out.
Yeah, I understand.
Marlou, maybe you have the mic already. Did you ever experience this as well?
Yeah, like you said, like not yesterday. It was also 3 days ago, I think. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's really true that this feeling goes like that. You know, here I'm on the I'm quitting, but then I find a way to get back up there again. Yeah, it's a roller coaster, and so definitely I got the. Thank you, my friend, for this question.
The question also, I mean, like bigger, like not if you stop with something, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, like what you was thinking, like okay, I'm creating art for a long time, but I think it's not for me. I don't get something. I will stop with this.
Yeah.
That's what I.
It's like a career change,
Not
like a.
2 days ago, I was stopping
But
creating art.
I
Like,
was stopping
for a
2
long
days
time.
ago, Pirat.
That's it.
I was stopping. You know, like that's the thing. Like, it's not only about like creating. It's also the fact that right now, I think I need to get my work out there also. So I use social media platforms to get my work out there. But then you see like, oh, that's also not working. Oh, that's also not work. I want to do this and this and this and that. But, oh, I don't have the money. I don't have this and I don't have that. And I don't have that to... Blah, blah. So there are a lot of limitations, actually. Or like more like something that's blocking me.
Yeah.
So I constantly have to move through that door, like break this door to get to the next door where there's another door. You know what I mean? So every time... it builds up, because when you're at the last door, you've gone through like not last door, like in the middle. We're not even at the last door, but when you got to the middle door, it becomes like so. You really think like, okay, right now I'm really giving up. You know, there's nothing there anymore. You know, so. But then there is still something, just a little thing on the floor somewhere that's helping you up again. But yeah, I did think I was quitting, you know, and that's something I will not share, because it's something that I'm going through it right now. But I share it right now, but I would not share it, you know, because I also want to people to believe that I will continue, that I will always continue. And if I put out this kind of like image or like sketch, this image for you, you would be the person to telling me like, but Marlou, you can never quit, because I am projecting that to you, you know. So you next time you will help me to not quit, you know. So I think by doing that with the people that are close to you, like also projecting like, oh yeah, I'm never giving up, it can help you, because they will always give you this
strength too.
Yeah, they will always give you strength. Yeah, but at the moment when I'm quitting, it's just me, myself, and I, and I'm quitting for real.
Let's take one last point before we wrap up. Pris Roos, or if you do very quick ones. Roze, meike?
Mine's a bit long, but I can try.
Go for it.
Yeah, I haven't really had the feeling of
like
wanting to
mine.
quit anymore because I just feel like I have so much to say and so much that I want to be heard. And yeah, so that's really what keeps me going. But when I started art school, I was just like, no, this is not for me. This wasn't made for me. Like, the theory classes were only dead white men, and I had to change all that shit myself. And now it's different, but it's so much work. And also my fear of public speaking is like up here. So doing things like this, like before this, I was like, no, I can't do that. So how am I going to be an artist? I should just go and study business or something else. But yeah, I keep going because I want to tell my stories. And yeah.
And you should.
Yeah.
And for someone with fear of public speaking, I think you did pretty well today. It was
Thank you.
Really amazing. Round of applause. And last but not least, Pris, you already have the mic.
Yeah, actually I just want to add that I never thought about quitting arts because I started quite late and like when I was 27. So after that I was like persistent to just pursue like whatever in arts. Whether it's in painting, I started in drawing and then painting, and then you discover that everything is possible. So
Yeah, age is a social concept.
Age is a social concept.
Completely.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I want to thank, well, I will thank you personally later, but thank you so much for joining in this conversation, for being vulnerable, because I think what you shared here did require some vulnerability. And I'm so thankful that even with a small group of 6 people, we were able to create some collective togetherness, or at least that's how I felt. So let's have a big round of applause for Marlou Fernanda, Samra Mayanja, roze, meike, Pris Roos, and Kasper Tinus. And check the exhibition, Collective Care and Togetherness, which was curated by the lovely Leana Boven. Round of applause for her as well. And we'll hopefully be meeting at Clau or someplace else to celebrate being alive and being together. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon. Yes, let's have a round of applause. Yes. And to be fair, there was some insecurity with public speaking, and honestly, this was so good that you all just, it was like you've been doing this all along. So, round of applause again. Sorry.
Also, thank you to you for hosting this panel and asking the question.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're done. Thank you so much for coming.